Good evening. Thank you for your presence tonight. Last Dharma service, we started the Four Noble Truths, which is the heart of the Buddha's teaching. The Four Noble Truths are Dukkha, the truth of suffering, and Samudaya, the truth of the cause of suffering, and Nirodha, the cessation of suffering, and Magga, the truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Last week, we focused on Dukkha among the Four Noble Truths. In a nutshell, the Dukkha is suffering. However, we knew that it is a lot more than the suffering. So let me summarize the Dukkha to remind you to move to the next step. Dukkha has three aspects. Number one, the first one is suffering from the body and the relationship. From the body, birth, old age, sickness, and death are suffering. From relationships, it's mental suffering, separation from pleasant condition or loved one, association with unpleasant person or conditions, and not obtaining what one desires. They are suffering. And the second aspect is that nothing is permanent. Our bodies, feelings, emotions, and knowledge, memories, and any kind of relationship, and any physical or mental positions, everything is changing. When it changes, especially if we wish something won't change, it produces suffering and happiness. And the third aspect is about the suffering from five aggregates. It is the most important because it is the origin of the dukkha. Dukkha is conditioned. To understand this, we need to consider of a being, an individual, or I as a combination of five aggregates. The five aggregates are formation, sensations, perceptions, impulses, and consciousness. Today, we will talk about the second, third, and fourth noble truth. The second noble truth is Samudaya, the cause of suffering. It is the thirst for sense pleasures, thirst for existence and becoming, and the thirst for non-existence. It is also desire for or attachment to ideas, views, opinions, theories, conceptions, or belief. According to the Buddha's analysis, all the troubles and strife in the world, from little personal quarrels and families to great war between nations and countries, arise out of this selfish thirst. The term volition, mental volition, and karma denote the same thing. They denote the desire, the will to be, to exist, to re-exist, to become more and more, to grow more and more, to accumulate more and more. You might remember that this is found within the mental formation, one of the five aggregates. What is it? It constitutes a being. It constitutes a being. So at this point, we should remember that the cessation of the dukkha and the destruction of the dukkha are within the dukkha itself. The third noble truth is Nirodha, known as nirvana. Yes, it's Sanskrit. It is emancipation, liberation, freedom from suffering, and freedom of the continuity of dukkha. It is also known by the term Tanakaya, means extinction of thirst. Extinction of thirst. It is the extinction of desire, greed, the extinction of hatred, and extinction of illusion. You might remember the three poisons. They are greed, hatred, and illusion. So nirvana means the state of extinction of three poisons. Nirvana is not an annihilation of self, because as we saw in the Buddhist perspective, there is no self to annihilate, because a self is a combination of 5 aggregates. So nirvana is the annihilation of illusion, the annihilation of the false idea of self. Nirvana is knowing reality of the absolute truth. What is the absolute truth? According to Buddhism, the absolute truth is that there is nothing absolute in the world. Let me say again, there is nothing absolute in the world. Everything is relative, conditioned, and impermanent. There is no unchanging, everlasting, absolute substance such as self, soul of Atman, within and without. So if we know about ourselves, if we know who we truly are, what we truly are, then we will be free. If you have a Christian background, you might have heard the truth will set you free. It is so true. The fourth noble truth is Magga, the way leading to the cessation of dukkha. The Buddha taught the noble eightfold path, known as the middle path. Middle path. We will look into this in the future, but let me briefly introduce them. Right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, and right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. They are categorized into threefold studies, namely ethical conduct, 개, and mental discipline, 정, and wisdom, 해. So 개, 정, 해 are threefold studies. Ethical conduct, 개, is based on compassion. There are right speech, right action, and right livelihood. And the right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentrations are mental discipline, 정. The remaining two factors, right thought and right understanding, go to constitute wisdom. According to Buddhism, for a man to be perfect, there are two qualities that he should develop equally. Two values. They are compassion and wisdom. If one develops only compassion and the emotional, neglecting intellectual, one may become a good-hearted fool. And if one develops only the intellectual side, neglecting compassion and neglecting to feel for others, one may become a hard-hearted intellect. So these are Four Noble Truths. These days, whenever I call my mom, I feel like she's not the same as she used to be. She was a brilliant, wise, and brave woman. But now she's getting old, and I can see that she's getting weak. I'm learning to be humble through her old age and sickness. I realized that it is not as easy as I thought to accept all the dukkhas and all the changes in my life and see them as they are. So then what can I do? What can we do facing dukkha, all the suffering? First of all, we need to be mindful of what is happening in our minds. We don't want to judge anything at this point. To reveal the Iwansang in our minds is the first and the most important thing to do. When we are centered and look at them, the anxiety and fear will finally disappear because they are not true. We know that they are going to be changed. When the illusions disappear, the truth will arise naturally. That's why we practice mindfulness and meditation. Tonight, I pray for you to be free from all suffering. And may you develop compassion and wisdom so you can save all sentient beings in your mind and you can save all sentient beings around you. Thank you.